In the world of baseball, baseball has begun. The weather has changed. Pitchers and catchers and other people have reported. I mean, we're getting to this baseball thing. But the one thing that has come out that people have been talking about has been this comment of one Angels baseball player, Anthony Rendon. If you're a Rangers fan, you know for a long time the Rangers wanted Anthony Rendon to come here. Maybe you dodged a bullet, maybe you didn't. But Anthony Rendon has one of the richest contracts in Major League history. Problem is, boy just can't stay healthy enough to play the game. And some people have said that with Anthony Rendon, one of his issues is baseball is the last thing that he wants to do day to day. And so he's had these comments, and I want to read these comments, and I want to give my perspective, but I also want to hear your perspective. Leave it in the chat. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Fourth and Long. Leave it in the YouTube chat, whatever it is. But on Monday, Anthony Rendon was speaking to reporters after Angels practice, and he made one thing very, very clear. Now, take this with a grain of salt. There is no video, there's context of it, but just hear it out. Now, sometimes the message isn't received well because of the messenger. Would you say? Right? If who's an MLB darling?
Trout.
Mike Trout. Teammates. Another often injured guy. If Mike Trout said, baseball's my job. I do this to make a living. My faith, my family, they come before this job. It might be received like, you know what? There's a guy with perspective. If I don't know, you name it. If whoever. Sometimes the message in itself gets a little bit distorted because of the messenger. So on Monday, Anthony was asked, he made one thing very clear. It says, and asked about the importance of baseball. And Anthony said, it's never been a top priority for me. This is a job. I do this to make a living. My faith, my family come before this job. Now, when you hear it, when you just hear that, initially you probably go, ugh, you cringe. Then they asked, and they said, when asked if it was a priority at all, Rendon replied, oh, it's a priority for sure, because it's my job. I'm here, aren't I? So when you hear those two comments, and you think about Rendon, who's 33 years old, he's played in just 200 of the possible 546 games during his Angels tenure. He hasn't appeared in more than 58 games in the season after suffering a season-ending injuries midway through each of the last 3 years. So when you hear those comments, I get it. You initially cringe. He signed a 7-year, $245 million contract before the 2020 season. And his contract is still set to make more than $115 million over the next 3 seasons. Now I ask myself the question. Does Anthony Rendon have a point? And again, this is a guy who hasn't played more than half of the games available to him over the last 3 seasons. He'll get paid at the end of the 7-year contract $245 million. But when he says it's not a top priority for me, I ask myself, you guys, on your jobs, on your 9-to-5s, whether you're managers, supervisors, CEOs, vice presidents, COOs, or just every J. Joe Blows, take the money out of it. And I know that's a huge number to take out of it. But is your job a top priority to you? Or is your faith or your family more important? But I also looked at this and I said to myself, We know a lot of players. Pick a league. NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL, MLS. We know a lot of talented dudes, and I've said this a couple shows ago, who like what the game brings but does not like the game. That's a fact. There are a ton of dudes who like what the game brings but does not like the game. And I don't know if Anthony Rendon is saying this, but we have to ask ourselves the question. I think we want our athletes to hold their jobs because there's a money line attached to it. We want them to make that their God. We want them to make that their end all be all because, right? You buy tickets, you pay for tickets, and you come to these games, and you want your feelings to be felt by them. You want them to say, you got this, and this, and I feel this way, so you should too. You feel that their job that they do should be a top priority. And I ask myself, do you feel that way about your job? Or is Anthony Rendon one of those players that just like, you know what? I like what the game brings, but I don't really like the game. It's a question that we have to ask ourselves. And if someone took those same words, someone that we beloved, that was beloved, someone that we held on a pedestal and said the same thing, would your reaction be the same? Or because of Rendon, and now Rendon, maybe it's true. Maybe he can give two craps. And you have some of his old teammates said, this is one guy who don't care about baseball. He just so happened to be really good at it. I think it was Jonathan Papelbon was on a podcast and he said, man, this dude was so talented. He's just talented, but he don't give a damn about the game. He doesn't care. He just so happened to be extremely gifted. I know a bunch of guys like that. I leave it to you guys. You tell me what you think.